So Kash, one of the few Dominus mains in the RLCS left, and he still switches between Dominus, Fennec, and Octane all the time. Who knows? Who knows what we're going to see from Kash? Now, as you guys know, I do love this Misfits team. I really liked what I saw from them overall. It was disappointing that they did not make the major. And let's see where the pain points are. I think Kash has been the most talked about player on this team. Arju and Matane, though, are really solid players. But we're going to be looking at Kash in particular for this breakdown. So this is their their quarterfinal match against Vitality. They lost this 4-2, and we're going to look at the first two games, which they split. So what types of plays and decisions and tendencies are we going to see Kash gravitate to? Well, if he's in a Dominus, that means he's going to smack the ball a lot. But let's see if that's true. Off the ceiling. It's a good read. This is good shot pressure from Misfits. Kash, the last few times he's touched the ball, it's been a direct shot. This time he can take the ball off that 50. And he actually tried to make the 50 happen against Alpha. Now Matane wins that touch. Kash wanted that midfield boost, but he'll turn off the play. And he comes from way back. Vitality pretty flat. And that was a decent opportunity. There's definitely... Kash is capable of having a better redirect on that ball, but you see, where contact happens is the most important part. It hits his undercarriage, and if you want that power on the Dominus, you really got to get it near the corner or any of the bumpers. Any of the bumpers will give you more straight line momentum. Matane leaves it for Kash. Another shot. So Kash loves taking shots at the net and throwing himself at it. This is just really good staying with the play. Pops that ball up. Comes down. He got the midfield boost. Matane leaves it for him. And the defense, that's Matane setting that play up, right? Matane gets underneath on the flip reset. Vitality have to respect it. And then Kash can follow it up. So great follow-up stuff there from Kash. So he'll stay behind here. Stay on that back post with Matane covering the back wall. Now he wants to come up, but with Arju rotating back in, he's just trying to figure out his position. And finally Arju breaks out. So now he wants to boost forward. He's in the spot for it. He wins the first touch, and he at least gets there. Punches Fairy Peak off the ball. I like the value. Always love bumps and demos coming out of the rotation. Rarely will that not be valuable. Great save from Kash on the return here. So Kash coming back. Matane relieves pressure for him. He protects the boost against Fairy Peak. Now he comes up, but swings out as soon as he sees Alpha get that ball with control. So he's able to recover really nicely. Use the boost pretty well to get back to that ball. He's left with 39, but a couple of pads keep him in the play. And he wins that 50. So never leaving the play and never really needing to use boost on that, but he stayed in position. Good reads from Kash. Absolutely chill cat dem. Another hard clear. Kash just comes back for free because Vitality are slow on the rotation. And that's just the power of the Dominus, man. It doesn't really matter how you flip into it, does it? Look at this. Just a side flip is like, oh, hard power off the back wall. It skipped off of Alpha's hood. And it still had that much power on the backboard. We'll play that ball hard and out to Arju. And again, turns back up and wide. Actually think he can get to that ball a lot faster if he turns into it. He'll be able to respond to any touch there if he turns into this. But he wants to turn up and out. But he can certainly follow that up, and he won't be late to that touch. He actually wins that touch perfectly if he doesn't turn outside the ball and instead he turns in towards the ball. So he's a little late to that play. No boost, but corner boost is there for him to take. Now he's back in position. He gets a fortunate bump onto Alpha, and he gets the ball. That was great from Kash to be able to just drill through Alpha and then get the cash and recover as well, or get the catch, excuse me, and recover as well. Oh, that's a big demo. And Misfits get scored on there, so Take a look one more time. So Kash, wanting to stay behind that ball with 13 boost, does not prioritize that corner because K-Dop was all over it. He does win that touch against Alpha, but Fairy Peak was in the perfect follow-up spot, and then he demos Matane. So that's Fairy Peak making a great play on the net, and Kash really did what he could there in the corner to win those touches. Eventually, you're going to need a follow-up, and then your follow-up man got demoed. So the tendencies for Kash, just in about 4 minutes of play, have been, if I get a free ball in the third, I'm going to take a shot because I'm in a Dominus. Why not? And then I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to look for plays, and I'd rather play defense going backwards than I would having to wait straight on from the box. So again, turning up as third man, staying around. Now he's second man. Arju wins the touch. Kash just has to keep that ball square and not make it easy for Vitality. Misfits do that. K-Dop ends up waiting, so Kash gets a touch out. But this is what you call managing the ball on defense when you don't have control. So they're not winning their 50s, right? Fairy Peak wins that touch. K-Dop's gonna have control. Kash, even though he's only got a little boost, he knows his pathing. He knows the paths that can get him in the spot, but he doesn't need to use any boost here. He's already going as fast as he needs to. K-Dop's not close enough to the ball, so it at least forces Vitality to respect Kash's ability behind the ball as soon as he turns into it. Even though he's so far off the play, and he's only got 12 boosts by the time he turns here, he uses that little bit of boost to keep his speed and force Vitality to react to him. Now, Alpha does get the ball right afterwards. Matane has to make that save, and it's a little awkward, but there's not much that Kash can do to put that ball in a better spot. Your other option is to give K-Dop the ball for free, and you got barely any boost to do it. It at least makes the play a little more readable for your teammates. So good stuff from Kash to get back onto defense and buy your team time. Not every touch is going to give you possession back. Sometimes you have to play the long game and just really whittle an offense down before you can really steal the ball away from them. Not every situation is the same. That's also a great 50 against Fairy Peak. Again, we talk about squaring up on the ball and making sure that if you want to neutralize 50s or have the best shot at winning it on defense, then being in the middle of that ball as you 50 it and having momentum are the keys. And oof, that's tough for Kash. So let's look. He comes up. He's kind of caught out a little bit. Well, let's go back a little bit and see how all this transgressed. So Arju coming up on the play. He sees K-Dop on the wall. Fairy Peak rotating back. Alpha on top of the ball. He's thinking pass maybe to K-Dop, and I want to be there to defend anything K-Dop does. Instead, Alpha kicks it away from K-Dop, and that forces Matane in. Again, that's fine. Kash covering that option. There's a ton of space for Matane to get back. You've got teammates for a reason. Let Matane come in and do the hard thing. K-Dop is there to cut it off. Kash lines this one up, and this is where you start to get into trouble a little bit. It's a good touch from K-Dop. You force the defenders to have to react to you, and there's two defenders that go for this ball. Relating Wave does what he can to get to it, but it's really a great touch from K-Dop. That touch right there that really makes Kash hesitant. He knows that a shot is going to be coming. He knows he has to be ready for it, so he initially goes up the wall, but then Fairy Peak jumps for it, and now he had to use extra time to get back down off the wall, and that was just enough space to give Fairy Peak the shot. It's a great bounce shot from Fairy Peak. If he shoots that a little more straight on, then Kash's Dominus likely nicks that, and he gets a play on the ball. But I actually think that both of these goals are more Vitality creating the opportunities. And you're not really seeing too much you can cry about from Kash right now. I'm trying to think what other series we want to look at after these two games from Vitality. What's going to give us another good look at Misfits? We might have to go back to Regional 1 maybe. Their semifinal? I forget who they played in Regional 1 for semis. We'll find out soon. Kash coming in, keeps the play alive. Kash loves the ball pressure. Will take the shots on net if he sees it. Semifinal was Regional 2. My bad. Thank you, Kash. Also, what's up, Kash? I'm not going to roast you. I promise. I'm not going to roast you too bad. I actually thought you played a really decent game against Vitality there, despite the loss. Now, the next game is going to be a win for Misfits. So what do we see Kash do in those situations? Right now, I think Kash likes to stay in the play. He doesn't really take himself out of it too often. And when he is behind the ball, if it isn't a 50-50 he's trying to win, he's prioritizing shots on net. And why wouldn't you when you're in a Dominus and you can so easily get those powerful touches? That's the best part about the Dominus, is you can get strong, powerful touches even with no boost. So Kash again bumping a Vitality player off the play. He's going to let Matane come in as first man and cut off the attack, but he just misses that ball. That's fine. Arju's backing him up. Oh, these are some tough spots. Now, you might say, oh, his launch just needs to be better here, but that's just a great clear from K-Dop from where Kash is positioned. You're expecting Matane to at least get a touch on that ball, and again, the follow-up position allows you to position a little more optimistically than you would otherwise. And he almost gets a touch onto that ball. So, it's not the worst spot for Kash to be in. K-Dop just gets a really nice clear. And Matane comes in. Kash expending the boost instantly, but that's just from confident pathing. So, got the first pad here. He knows he's got the 2 pads in front of him, but that ball lobbed up straight in front of him to try to punch it out. He's not going to beat K-Dop to the ball. And then rotate right back in after going long for a corner boost. You turn off ball cam for a second to line that up, or the Dominus just getting his camera that much? Hard to tell. Good 50, third man. He is using a little bit of boost to stay in position. But again, I think the main difference that you're seeing between, we've seen it from Kash and we saw it from Monkey Moon, they are boosting through small pads to stay in the play, but they don't do that all the time when they're on low boost, and they at least make sure that they're maintaining their boost level above a certain percentage. And so for Kash, you saw it was above that 70 to 80 mark, trying to keep enough so you can respond to anything that the defense might throw at you mechanically. And it was enough for Kash to stop a counterattack for Vitality. Now he's got nothing in the tank. The rest of Misfits are back on this. Arju doesn't want to commit, but there's nothing bad there that happened for Kash. It was whoop, he avoids the demo and let that ball drop. That's pretty smart in the corner. Not trying to force any kind of ill-favored 50-50. These are just good touches, good clears. He slows it down. Smart touch over to Matane, forcing the defense to respond to your touch rather than just giving it up and pushing the ball into them. Arju diving in front. Favorable opportunity in front of the box. Kash control the midfield boost. And this is the benefit of controlling the midfield boosts. You don't ever have to rotate out of the play or feel like you need to rotate out of the play. It's comfortable positioning. It's comfortable rotations when you have that much dominance. Kash maintains his momentum to fly up that sidewall. His teammates win in those 50s, and Matane takes a great shot. So let me go back here. Kash. Go player view again. On the kickoff. Oops. Now look, he gets that touch. It's probably decently powerful off that corner. That's a Dominus goal. Like, if he could get that right on the corner, the visible corner on his Dominus, K-Dop's back. He could get up for it. But I'm telling you, man, the zero boost dodges on Dominuses are way too powerful. It's another good challenge from Kash. Very confident, not letting Vitality carry the ball for too long. Picks up that small pad, in position, and I like the idea to carry that. You got K-Dop breathing down your neck, and it ended up forcing Vitality off the ball. So good control from Kash. He's got that midfield boost, wants to stay with the play, and he wins the touch. So again, it's okay sometimes. As he sees the play, Kash is never really taking himself out of the play here. He sees Arju going for this 50. It could go his way. Matane's covering the other option. So it's fine. It goes down here. Matane's covering the next touch. Now, Kash wants to get over pretty quickly. He wants the midfield boost. That's fine. He doesn't use a lot of boost to get supersonic, and now he's in position for this touch. He will not lose to Fairy Peak on it. So good stuff from Kash to get around that ball quickly and make sure he's in a solid second man position for Matane. You haven't seen a lot of panicky decisions from Kash like we saw from Relating Wave. I think he's especially comfortable on defense. Kash is. Now waits in the corner. Avoids the bump from Fairy. Another good touch from Kash. That little pinch bounce really threw K-Dop through a loop. Oh, wait a second. I went blind for a second. So Kash gets this pop. Wants to bump Fairy off the ball. Ends up flipping off the play. Now this is fine. You do go pretty far off here. But because both Arju and Matane are good at keeping that ball close, it's no problem. But there's a big pass from Vitality. And Arju has to make a good save. Now, is there any way that Kash could have kept himself in the play? Again, I'm probably going to harp on this a lot in a lot of our analysis, is small pad pathing. And you don't always have to small pad path, but I do think there's a world here where Kash doesn't get that bump, right? Now, he flips out of this play, and he keeps driving forward, but I do think he can kind of turn back up the field and follow. Let me draw. When he was back a little bit, he could actually turn off the play a lot, or turn back into the play a lot sooner, because nobody's really near the corner boost back here. I don't think it's the optimal decision to go steal that corner boost, because this corner boost is available. That midfield boost over here, I think, is available as well, and I don't think Kash goes for that. He's out of the play for a little while here, but if he turns back in and he takes, you know, the pads up here, then he'll be able to respond as a follow-up man a lot quicker. But prioritizing the canister, I don't think is the right maneuver there for Kash. And again, just talking about plays that could keep things going for you on offense. Doesn't necessarily mean that a goal would have gotten scored on you had you made a decision or not, but it could have led to a decision tree that led to a goal for you or preventing a goal later on. Now, Kash does get into this position eventually and does widen up. He does get right back in. And hang on a second. Am I calling the wrong play there? No, we're just going to skip ahead. So back a little bit. Matane loses that 50. Kash turns to respond to this. Alpha, that's really good recognition from Alpha to pass this over to K-Dop. And then K-Dop to Fairy. And a good save from Arju. So I think, dare I say, 100% of the, or 90% of the situations, not 100%, that we're seeing Kash in, the times where he's losing the ball or his team is in a tough spot, are more from Vitality taking advantage of the positioning in the moment and the weird challenge that preceded it. So he forces another 50. Arju wanted the ball out to Matane. Kash, so quick. That is so valuable to have on defense. As soon as, look, he's read this so quickly before that bounce happens. He knows that Alpha wants that double touch. He knows Matane is going to be slow to that. Arju's still rotating back around in net, but Kash had that read so long ago, and he got under it and made it a little more awkward for Fairy Peak. And now Matane gets a much easier save. That was a beautiful read from Kash on defense. To have a player on your team that can get reads that quickly, well, it'll get you out of a lot of tough spots. There he is, again, making it awkward for Vitality. Notice they're forced onto the ground after this initial touch from Kash. Off the ceiling, still very speedy. Kash is a very boost-hungry player, but a lot of his boost expenditure comes behind the ball. So while he might have to use a lot of boost and he wants to move down fast and quickly with the ball, he beats K-Dop with that touch after expending his boost. He can rotate out. That boost isn't available for him, but he will check just in case it spawns. And unfortunate for him, it spawned right after he ran over it. And they don't get the goal. But you like the first man effort there from Kash. Now he gets demoed. How about Matane in this series? He's been playing really well. Not reviewing him, though. Pops this up again. Kills the ball. That makes the clear a little harder for K-Dop. He saw Arju breathing down his neck. Good patience from Kash. Made that Dominus nice and tall in front of the net here. He knows this is going to be a pass. That's just a roller from K-Dop. And Alpha's right there. He's going to hard shoot that ball. So the best thing Kash can do, he uses that boost just to tilt his car up enough and in time to jump off the wall, make his car really big, and then get a perfect 50 out. Matane makes a great rotation to get that save as well. We need to do a Matane analysis, I think. I think it's scored on here. But this is a good save from Kash. Arju ends up committing with Matane on this play. Kash gets that full tank of boost, but K-Dop wraps back around, and nobody can get to that ball. Matane tried to get back to it. Is there anything Kash could have done here to turn back quicker onto the play? I actually think he should turn after that boost. Now, I have hindsight benefiting me here, right? But if you see Matane having to drive back for a crazy save like this, Arju's double committed. Going for that corner boost is definitely ill-advised. You've been facing this pressure from Vitality, and you've actually taken yourself out of the play as soon as you've taken that corner boost. And that's fine, right? You have two defenders in net, but keep in mind, Matane still recovering after that initial save. Arju also still recovering after double committing, and Matane is going to be behind. And so if Kash turns around and he at least makes himself available on the back wall to make a save, he maybe can make a play onto that ball. But that's a big maybe because that last pass from Vitality was really good. And again, it's Vitality making plays and making Misfits really sweat on defense. I'm splitting hairs when I'm saying, oh, if Kash doesn't turn for that corner boost, he might be in a better position for a play. But he also would only have 6 boosts. So, you know, you're between a rock and a hard place. Do you trust your teammates to try to make the touch and go get boosts so you can add more value to the play, to the next touch, or do you really try to square up the goal defense? That's a tough decision for Kash to be in, and that's a tough shot for Vitality to save. That's just a great shot. Good luck saving that one. There's nothing really you got to break down about that play. He gets on the right side of the ball, times his flip perfectly, boosts into it. That's the power of the dominance, baby. So that was Kash against Vitality. And they played... We're going to look at Endpoint a lot today on the pitch. We're going to look at Misfits versus Endpoint in the semifinals of the second regional next. So what are your guys' takeaways so far with Kash? I think, for me, Kash... really solid on defense. He's got really good vision in front of him. I think his reads are what really help him. His ability to read the play very quickly, to read touches extremely quickly is makes him really fast and really difficult to deal with as a player, especially if you want to go for the outplay or you're trying to play it away from a defender. If Kash is consistent with those reads, as he was here against Vitality, Misfits ended up losing this series. I don't know what happened later in the series, and we're not going to end up looking at it. I do want to see a snapshot of how they play against Endpoint, because Endpoint are much more aggressive than Vitality are, I would say, in terms of, we saw Relating Wave and his ability just to go for everything. But Kash's ability to read the ball, I think, is his greatest asset. Excuse me. Did I pick day 2? I did. Series 2, Vitality. Wait, did I pick? Oh, this is Regional 3. No, it's Regional 2. Playoffs. It was Regional 1. You lied to me, Kash. You lied to me. Here, we're pulling it up. And then Europe. And then Regional 1. Oh, I thought you said it was Regional 2. That's my bad. That's my bad. You played Endpoint in quarters. You did indeed. You did indeed. Where is it, though? Oh, that's day 2. Day 1. My bad. There we go. Endpoint Misfits. Endpoint, we're peaking. All right. Let's take a look at games 2 and 3. Endpoint, we're able to put up a 3 spot there. And maybe we'll see some more mistakes from our boy Kash. Not that I'm looking for mistakes, but I just want to see how Kash plays under pressure. It's important. It's important to know how a player plays under pressure when he's comfortable. We've learned a lot about relating wave in those categories. And we're about to learn a little bit more about Kash. So up the wall. That just rolls away from him, and the net's wide open, and Kash is very lucky that relating wave doesn't put a shot on net. So let's go back a little bit. So he flips up for this. Mets gets a good pinch. That makes awkward. That's actually, I'm not putting that one on Kash. That's Arju or Matane. I don't know what they both were doing there. But yeah. All of Misfits happy that relating wave didn't put that ball on target. Kash ready for this. Wants to play that away from Seiko. And try to get in the middle of him and Metanaris. Still in the play despite going for that corner boost. And oof, Seiko making him look bad. This is all Seiko here. Matane tries to get up on top of it. He can't make it happen. And Kash is getting there as fast as he can. You can't really blame your third man too much for going for that corner boost when you have both Arju and Matane there. You think Matane will at least be able to slow Seiko down a little bit, but Seiko earns this. So I'm just watching outplays happen more times than not in how Misfits get scored on. Although there was that double commit from Arju and Matane that definitely could have led into a cavalcade of poorer decisions for Misfits. But here, Kash, third man, playing it tight. Sees relating wave, gets on the wall, gets bumped, but his job was done for him. No problem. Arju leaves the boost for him. And Kash says, I'm not playing slow. It's going. Now, Kash, you're here, so I have the benefit of asking you, do you remember if Arju was just like help right there? Because you're right on top of him. And you win the 50, so not a big problem. Relating wave, big clear. Kash cuts him off. Momentum wins, absolutely. And they end up getting the goal. Kash says in chat, Arju did say help, and so Kash responded immediately with some help and gave a good old pass to Matane, who ends up winning that 50-50 pretty cleanly. So, communication, important, and Kash exemplifies the moves. He's got it. Coming back close side, he's going to take that boost away and get bumped by Metanaris again. He's going to take his other corner boosts. Out on the play after that 50, but still plenty of boost on defense. Look at him. Can he get back behind that ball again? He doesn't, but that was good enough. You bought Matane and Arju time to get downfield. So again, the back wall defense from Kash, really good vision, really good understanding of where endpoint are, how he should approach the ball on the back wall. And he's putting himself in a really solid position to make an optimal play. He's going to steal his corner boosts, make relating wave work for this touch. Relating wave does work for it. And Matane, he's able to make the great touch. Now Kash, again, very tight rotation. That's the thing about those defensive rotations is the first to third man roles are morphing very quickly in that corner. So Arju, he's in front of the ball. Matane's now first man. Kash needs to be in a solid position to follow up. So now he's going to be along the back wall near post. It's going forward. He's going to wait a little bit here. He sees Metanaris take that clean. I actually think maybe Mets can catch him out on this play, but maybe Arju makes his life a little difficult, and that's why Kash creeps up a little bit here. I do think he positions a little aggressively there, but he does make that touch. It's not the best. Arju's able to get up there for the 50, but if we look back a little bit and we think about that positioning now, Arju looks like he really got a chip on Mets, and that slowed that one down. But it wasn't clear on the approach that was going to happen. If Arju doesn't get that bump, Kash is all of a sudden out of position, and he still had to make an awkward 50 there. I think if he just is a little more relaxed there, because it's not completely obvious, because Matane's also still recovering on the play. Kash beating Seiko to that boost. Able to save it and rotate right back in. A lot of pressure from Endpoint. See, this is a lot different than what we've seen from Vitality, where Vitality were much more willing to give Misfits the middle of the field, and we're having a harder time winning 50s against them. But now Misfits are actually having the same problem here against Endpoint. They have not been able to break out of midfield for the last 45 seconds. The main difference has been Kash and I haven't been watching Arju or Matane, but they've done a good job managing boost and mostly winning the boost battle in their corners against Endpoint. That is forcing Endpoint to go back to midfield. Endpoint are still going to be really aggressive, as you're seeing here in midfield, and Mets wins this touch. Kash having to play more defense, but he's picked up a couple of pads, and this is a solid spot to be to defend this ball. 38 boost is plenty to defend this catch against Seiko, and Kash, it does exactly that. He gets right on top of it. Now you're still on defense, so every touch matters, but your rotation also matters. It's not a one-man game, it's a 3v3. Up high, on the back wall, Endpoint not willing to commit fully to it yet and still hanging on to midfield. Kash going to pull off on that play, let Matane take the more favorable 50, and now Kash has a free ball to look at. Look, he's got Metsonaris clean beat on the play, so good patience in that third man spot. So really deadly combo to have is the patience of a third man, but also the quick reading ability that Kash has. It makes you look a lot faster than, you might be going. Kash getting demoed on the play. His teammates making another good save. He goes for the dribble this time. And a good idea. Arju gets the first demo, and I love seeing this from Kash. Everyone thinks, oh, he's Dominus. He's just going to boom it. How about a little air dribble? That's really pretty. Arju gets that demo, and that catch is not perfect. See right there, you see he catches it on the right side of his hood, and that means he has to adjust a little bit. So not a clean catch, and then he had to rely on dropping the ball down and trying to get that 50 against Relating Wave. So if you want to pick on the mechanics, you can say the catch wasn't clean, and if you caught it cleanly, you maybe could have flicked it over Relating Wave. But the fact of the matter is Kash patient on defense. He was able to push that ball downfield and get Misfits out of a really high-pressure situation from Endpoint. Here he is again. Drops it on the flip reset. Love that. I love that because you can mix that up however you want. It's the most powerful tool in an attacker's arsenal is the flip reset because it opens up so many opportunities. It either gives you space. It forces defenders to respond to you. And Kash bumping into his own teammate there. Unfortunate rotation back. What exactly happened here? Kash gets the pass over to Matane. Really good. And he tried to get out of the way, but Arju ends up kicking right into or running straight into him. Another demo for Arju. Probably prevented a quick shot, but here we go. Third man for Kash, picking up all those pads. And he's ready for a play. Forces Relating Wave to play it high. It's also really good from Kash on that launch. More air dribbles. Kash really opting for the control and the mechanics on these last few pushes. What's been the big difference? As we saw against Vitality, took a lot more shots than he did carry the ball. So he's given the space here, right? Makes himself big to win the 50, and then he plays that one close and underneath with Matane. He didn't have a lot of boosts, so maybe that was also informing him on what to do there. Good save. Kash coming back in off the side. That's a tough save to be making off the side wall. We gotta look at this in slow-mo just to see how exactly he gets up underneath this and gets the ball away. Endpoint score right after, but it's still a great save, so I still want to make note of it. So he gets on the side wall, so he's got vertical height on his side, and he can kind of stick instead of going up the back and on top of the goal. Where you'll just fall off and you have to make a quick decision. Instead, he's hanging on the side wall. He jumps, turns his car upwards, boosts into it, and stays underneath it so it pops that ball up and away. Forces Seiko into not the best shot, but Kash ends up flipping, feels flipping, and can't get the save. But did he actually get bumped on that play? It looks like he gets bumped. So Mets comes out, and that actually might be informing Kash's decision-making there, and the ball goes in. So Endpoint making another play happen there. Kash doesn't get the most solid... he makes a really tough save. But there's not really too much I can fault Kash for there. Definitely a decent game from him. And I think the main things that really hurt Misfits were the bumps and demos happening from Endpoint and just that relentless pressure. They were unable to get a clear for the longest time. Endpoint did a really good job locking down the side and really whittling down Misfits' defense. And so I give more credit to Endpoint than I would say Kash did anything glaringly wrong there. I gotta find something wrong, right? Wait, this is game 2 again. We're on game 3. So they're down against Endpoint here, and they get scored on a good bit. Oop, we looked at Relating Wave earlier. Let's go Kash. Fly. And player view. Kash in the Dominus now. Now, Kash, you're here. And I'm curious if you can tell me, because I've seen you switch between Dominus and Octane a lot. What's the main thing you're feeling when you switch off to Octane? What do you feel isn't working? Is it anything specific, or is it really just a pure mental thing? Or is there anything specific about your game you're not comfortable with? I'm curious. But let's see if Kash approaches the game any differently in an Octane. Aggressive challenge for him. Seiko forcing Kash into a tough spot. He's got to get that corner boost, but immediately up to challenge him. Like that from Kash. You got the boost to go for it. Very willing to go for those challenges as first man, as you should. Kash kicking that ball back downfield. Working in low boost, but not putting himself out of the play. And he was able to make a couple of nice 50s as a result. Now rotates right back in, and he beats the defender. He comes out of the net so quickly. Underneath on the flip reset. 2 commit for Endpoint. Oh, and they beat 2 attackers to the ball. This puts Kash in a tough spot. And, yep, not the best touch, but lucky that ball isn't on target. Another good 50, just driving through the ball. We'll stay near Seiko and then leave and rotate out. Needs a couple of those small pads. Seiko harassing him, and he gets demoed. And that will likely be a goal. But a weak shot from Relating Wave, so no problem for Kash. Little jumpy, that's fine. You immediately recovered. Relating Wave on top of that one. That's tough. Oh. There's a couple of goal-scoring opportunities left on the board from Endpoint. We see it's Misfits just a little slower to this ball every time. That one bounces right off the rope. Or right off the post, not the rope, excuse me. That's good work from Matane to relieve a little bit of pressure, but you saw Endpoint steal that corner boost again. Kash forced to try to react and let that ball come to him. He can't go and force the challenge. He's got to try to win that 50 against Metzenaris, and when you are losing the boost game like this, that's when high-pressure opportunities and a team like Endpoint will start to cut you down and whittle you apart, and that's what's happening here. Kash was sitting on 25 or lower for a good portion of that. He was late to every challenge. He was getting chipped off the play. They weren't winning any of their boost, and that's a product of good pressure from Endpoint. So waiting for a high touch. Comes straight back down, slows it down. And now he's there for the follow-up spot. Matane going to chase it. And Kash going to morph back into the third-man role. Arju going to stay up. Kash going to stay with him here. And this is very tight for Misfits. But Kash immediately getting back, letting Arju take that follow-up. And then following him up instead for the second man. So good recognition by Kash, actually. Matane wants to play this ball around. If Matane beats Relating Wave to this ball, Kash is in the perfect spot to catch this. And again, as second man, you can afford to be more aggressive with your positioning. Now, Matane does beat Relating Wave to the ball, but it's not going far enough for Kash. He's already turned off the play, and he's boosting back to follow up Arju's touch. So Seiko now has to beat Arju, a much more difficult 50 to win for Seiko. And as you can see, it forces Seiko off the ball, and Kash wins that touch. Arju stays in the play. So good recognition from Kash in his positioning and never taking himself out of the play. You can be aggressive and still respond defensively on a lot of these plays. Now here's Matane again. Kash ready for a pass, but didn't want to force that one. Instead, lets that ball come back. Now, last man in net. Arju downfield. He's actually going to be next man up. Sees a pass. And that's great stuff. I love these kind of touches. You force defenders to really think about what you're going to do with the ball, where that ball's going to go. Arju tripping up, or trying to trip up Metanaris. He doesn't succeed on that play, but you love those kinds of opportunities from Kash. Seiko getting demoed, and oh my. Oh no! It looked like it was going to be so good. Let's go back a little bit. Comes back. He's like, oh, Arju, he wins these. Okay. Oh, he didn't get a touch. Oh, no. Seiko, goodbye. No place for you. And you never really see Relating Wave behind that ball, do you? You, like, see the R in his name, but he jumps immediately for that. And Kash is already committed. So he has to get behind that ball. He tries, and he fails. And Relating Wave dunks the ever-living hell out of him. And we saw, when we watched Relating Wave, he's going to go for every 50. Like, my man dove for that ball. So now Kash stays back as soon as he sees Relating Wave. Goes with control. Has to use a lot of boost to catch up to it, and that was still really good from Kash. So he has to avoid the challenge here against Relating Wave. He wants to pop it up and over him, and the pop isn't the best. Right? The pop gets a little away from him. He has to expend 50 boost to get back to the ball. But what matters is the stopping, and then the catch right there. He starts boosting as soon as he catches that ball. So him and the ball are going at the same velocity, and he actually performs an air dribble out of this despite the initial mistouch. It is challenged, but the ball is knocked away, and Seiko doesn't get the easiest clear. Oh, big miss. They're going to get scored on quickly here, but Kash had the time, and he ended up giving it up. Don't like that touch from Kash. You know you got to buy time after that miss from Arju. You know, turn back on that. That's fine. You got a little bit of space. You can really slow that ball down, and you could beat Seiko any amount of ways if you control this ball and turn up the pitch. Instead, he picks it wide, and even right there, he just pitches it towards the middle, but Arju is still turning around. Matane was still coming back. Nobody's really available for this touch, so this is a dead ball. And you give the ball up. Metanaris gets a pass over to Relating Wave and score. So, yes, Arju has the initial mistouch, or the initial whiff, if you will. But definitely a big chance for Kash to control this ball here. He rushes it. He sees Seiko, probably thinks Seiko is going to barrel down on him, so he instead goes for the hard touch. Seiko pulls off on the challenge, and then that opens the space for this goal for Endpoint. There's just not really a situation where you're going to get a powerful enough touch from that area of the field that Endpoint won't respond to it, and they won't get back to it. It's a higher percentage opportunity to either control flick or control 50 that ball, rather than just give it up on defense. That's really one of the only times we've seen Kash do that. And that's a nice goal. Kash doesn't have to do much. And that's pretty much it for Kash. There's 39 seconds more here, but I think we have acquired a decent amount of data on Kash. Going up here, what's he got? Nothing, just keeps the ball pushed. I think Kash plays a really comfortable first man. I also think I think Kash is pretty comfortable in every position. I think where he gets into trouble sometimes is rotating out. Sometimes rotates out a little wide and not always ready to follow up the play. He's an aggressive player. He wants to be ready. He's an aggressive second man. He wants to be ready for that follow-up. He always wants to turn up and get ready for it. Not as aggressive as relating wave, but certainly similar. Overall, I think you've seen a solid body of work here from Kash, and I really like what I've seen from him. I'm excited to see him more in the winter split. We'll look at his teammates later on down the line, but yeah,